Welcome back to Type 40 here for Whovember with me, Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks. I'm back here with Matt Pott. And we've spoken before, haven't we, Matt, about the global reach of Doctor Who, it's particularly in getting to those harder to reach places down under, haven't
we? Yeah, it's
Don't
it's
laugh.
very hard to reach. Yeah, no, I mean, Doctor Who was, even when it came back, when the show came back, it was very still hard to get a hold of stuff, and it took like, up to over 6 months to finally get the new series over here. But somehow I got a hold of it beforehand, which was probably the first time ever. Which is probably the first time ever, because I remember the days where people said, we used to swap tapes and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I was a tape swapper.
Tape.
Yeah,
that was not. I was never a member of a Who club or anything like that. So what I got to see was on television, and that was it. So
you were spoilt anyway. Don't mention it again. Don't mention the repeats again. So, but in 2023, it's becoming increasingly important, isn't it? Now we're in the streaming age, aren't we? That where everything has sort of got its place, and you know where to find it on a hoofer doofer. So Doctor Who itself is very much involved in that now. It's found a platform home and is squaring up or leveling up with the rest of modern media, isn't it? All the other big brands.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was for the longest time it was on the ABC, and even through streaming, we could watch a lot
like 1967 onwards, wasn't it? It was like crazy, always.
Not only that, but like, once the streaming came, we were seeing the animated reconstructions, and that they were showing it before the actual release of the Blu-rays and that. But now, because of the fact that, Disney's involved and everything, and it's been taken off ABC completely. So there's no streaming of Doctor Who whatsoever. The only chance you can actually get to see any classic Doctor Who, which isn't much, is through BritBox and those sort of services, which I don't really want to pay for. I pay for enough streaming services already, and I also already have all my DVDs. So
BritBox is its own brand, its own thing, and again, it's another paywall right there in front of you. And obviously, I suppose for any brand going forward, because although we spend, as Doctor Who fans, we spend a lot of time looking backwards, it is important to think about going forward, isn't it? And the synergy of having a global streaming platform does make perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that you guys are going to get it streaming on BBC, but it doesn't look like Disney Plus is going to be streaming it on theirs. So here, at least. So, I'm just going to have to make do with what I've got. I mean, I wasn't going to even buy the Blu-rays, but because I have the majority of the DVDs, and I was really happy with them for the longest time. And then I was finding that they were doing re-releases of those DVDs. The special editions were actually reissued with special upgraded things, and I was like, oh crap, does that mean I've got to buy them again?
See, even though you guys were sort of spoilt for repeats way back then, it has struck me now, and I don't take any relish at all from the fact that in 2023, and since the pieces have been sort of moved around the board, and the different players have come into the game with Doctor Who, the Disney Plus, the Sony angle, the Bad Wolf thing, it does seem to me that the people, the territory, and the fans that are going to be experiencing more of a change than anybody else are the Australian fans, because it's always been in one particular place, and now, which is the same as in Britain, but we're still going to get it in that place. You guys have now got it behind another paywall, haven't you, on Disney Plus?
Yeah, and I mean, I've got to update my subscription again for this year, and it's already gone up. So they've just gone, oh, we hope you're enjoying Disney Plus. We've put it up another $20. It was like, oh, and then it's due very soon. The thing is, I wouldn't mind it so much if they actually gave me more than what they're actually offering on Disney Plus at the moment. What they're offering is just their newer stuff. I mean, I'd love to see some really, really classic films. I'm only watching the vintage stuff and maybe some of the old movies from the 90s, but it's rough because they are editing these things as well. And so when I pay for something, I want to get it, and so that's the reason why I'm so heavy in physical media. I just love physical media because I know that nothing's going to be cut, well, unless Disney's involved. So, which apparently Disney is starting to do that. So, it's, and I mean, like I said, there's very few new movies that I actually will watch because I just don't like I'm just not entertained by them. So I'll watch the stuff. I mean, I watched the new Haunted Mansion movie the other day, and I was bored absolutely stiff. But I watched it because I liked the Haunted Mansion. I read the ride about 100 times when I was in LA.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's not the same anymore. And so you just go, well, okay, do I keep Disney? I was going to get rid of Disney Plus, but then with the Doctor Who announcement, it sort of threw a spanner in the works, and it's like, I kind of want to return to Doctor Who, and this is the only real way. I always felt that if something is offered to me through a streaming service, then I will actually pay for it. So for the longest time, Doctor Who wasn't available here, so I was having to get it through other places. And now it's offering to me. I'm willing to pay to watch it,
Put your money where your
whether or
mouth
not
is.
it's
That's
worth
the.
it. Yeah. Well, that's it. I've always thought, I mean, I always back up, people. I don't want to. I
I
don't
know
want
you
to
do.
feel like I'm a thief or anything like
No,
that.
no, no.
I don't.
You're wrong.
I may love I may love Doctor Who, but I'm willing to 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 actually subscribe
Support
to
the
it
brand. Yeah,
and support
support
it.
it wherever it
Yeah.
may go. But and that's a noble sentiment and something that I completely get behind that. But I have to say, I could have understood earlier in the year if you hadn't started taking it a little personally, shall we say? Because I did notice. In fact, I think you messaged me with the news that just around the time that the whole streaming thing was sort of revealed, that the Blu-ray collection, the Doctor Who collection on Blu-ray, those box sets, those deluxe box sets, have been going the line of them for about 5 years now. But they always sell really, really well, very well reviewed items. That this is the prestige way to experience classic Doctor Who, and you were getting them in Australia as well, weren't you? With a
Mm,
reasonable window between us. It was very, very small, the release window between the UK and the Australian releases. But you were saying to me for a while, these releases have slowed down a little, and then they
yeah.
completely stopped, didn't they, earlier this year?
Mm. Yeah, well, I mean, we were getting the English version for the longest time, and they were just changing the cardboard a little bit. But then they started printing them here, and they're becoming cheaper packaging and everything like that, and it was really quite dodgy. And so, yeah, it's for the longest time I'd been holding off on them, and then I heard that they had came with all these brilliant extras, and some of them had been upgraded, some of the video had been upgraded and everything, and I was like, I need to go back and buy those and keep going. But the Tom Baker ones sold out immediately. Same with the John Pertwee and all that. But strangely, the Sylvester McCoys and the Colin Bakers and all that always stayed on the shelves. They weren't
Slightly less
really
popular
touched.
ones wouldn't ship so many
Yeah, yeah.
units quite so quickly.
And unfortunately, it seemed that they were heading towards doing those 80s doctors. So, if you can remember, they did, they released a lot of Colin Baker and the
Yeah,
Sylvester McCoy
yeah.
and that close together. So therefore, it wasn't looking like they were selling because, they probably weren't making their money back.
And that's why release
So,
dates would slow down, because they'd wait to see if the previous sets would sell a little better, maybe over a
yeah,
longer period of time. Who was distributing them back then?
Universal.
I see.
It was Universal. And they eventually turned around and just said, people were waiting for the new John Pertwee series to come out, season 9, I think it was,
9, yeah, yeah.
and they were waiting on that to come out, and it never came out. And we were like, "Where is it?" It's normally coming. It normally gets announced a couple of weeks before you guys get it actually released.
Yeah.
So we thought, oh, we'll just have to wait, and nothing happened. Eventually someone got wind of it and sent them a letter and said, "Where is it?" And they said, "We're not doing them anymore. We're getting out of the market."
declined the license to continue doing them.
Yeah.
So when Universal pulled the plug on the Doctor Who range, you had every reason to suspect that was gone too, that was the end of that, and that people would be left with 4 or 5 of these sets on the shelf, and that was that forever an unfinished collection.
I just started going, okay, since you're not going to be releasing it here in Australia, I will get it elsewhere. And the weird thing is, like Universal were actually saying, you can get it elsewhere. You can go and import it or whatever. They just didn't care. And
they just didn't care anymore once they... And so they didn't even care about potentially if anybody else would come along and pick up the license to distribute these sets. It wasn't their problem anymore. It was bye-bye, obligation to customer.
Well, we knew Disney wouldn't do it. We knew Disney wouldn't do it because we didn't have Disney anymore. God knows what's going to happen with the newer series. I guess that will be coming out as well with this new distribution partner.
Yes, so this new distribution partner, let's talk about them. They're called Madman, aren't they?
Madman Entertainment.
Tell us about them. Where have they come from? Why them? And when did this happen?
They are about 20, 25 years old. They are an Australian company, and they initially released anime, Japanese animation, and a lot of it was from the 80s. So we got the Astro Boy box sets, and they were beautiful box sets just for standard DVDs. It's stuff that people used to love as kids, and we'd be getting a hold of it. So and then eventually they started getting into other anime and really diversifying. They got into Cartoon Network. So they were actually releasing the Cartoon Network video DVDs and all that here in Australia. So Madman's sort of going more mainstream. So of course, they're showing they're getting all these other movies and stuff that you wouldn't normally get.
So I've got this blurb here, and it says that they call themselves the home of remarkable films in Australia and New Zealand. Madman Entertainment is an independent distributor with a focus on remarkable stories. We're proud to share films with audiences in Australia and New Zealand that transcend the screen, starting conversations, encouraging reflection, and empowering change. My God, that's pretty bold, isn't it?
So it was... That's really what they've been doing, really, is just releasing these little niche type things. But mind you, though, we're getting more and more Blu-ray companies that are actually, just boutique type companies that are actually releasing stuff because they're not being released here.
So have they started their line of Doctor Who products then?
No.
It's still a little way off.
I believe season 20, and that was another thing is like, well, I wanted to get season 20 because by that time we'd been told we weren't getting anything. So I'd pre-ordered that. Biggest mistake of my life. But they're not coming out until February next year. So that's the start of it. But I have a feeling that they're going to be also releasing the Disney series as well.
It's quite a big price tag on season 20 that's coming out next year as well. Isn't it $160 they've got on that?
Yeah, that's crazy. That is insane. I mean, when they first started coming out, they were $90. Obviously, there's a license fee and everything that they're paying for and they're expecting. But the issue is,
do you think they're passing on their costs that they will be experiencing perhaps more of those kind of pressures than they would on other releases, but it being something connected with the BBC and with bigger brands, and they're passing that over to the members, to the
cost of living, another thing they're just going to put on there. They're just going to add it to the thing. And of course, the people who buy these things, they're already going to own season 20. But then when they started offering, versions from the UK and all that sort of thing, people could just get it through there, and it's just so much easier. And then, but I mean, I really wanted to buy the Australian versions of Doctor Who to support them, but the thing was, though, once they said that we're not going to be doing it anymore, what do? It's like, well, do I just sit on my bum and just not buy it anymore and just wait? Hopefully someone will release it. Or do I just, do I get it now, which is what I've been doing,
It's got to be a good thing, hasn't it, that it has found a new distributor in that part of the world for the people, for one reason, or the people who are willing to part with the money and wait out that long wait. Another choice, another way of getting this stuff onto your shelf. But the only things that I've been able to find out about this new line of releases is that price tag and this statement that it just says from Madman, the ongoing distribution of BBC Studios product will be exclusively with Madman from September 2023. So they've already got it. It should be starting now, and it sounds like it doesn't just include Doctor Who items. It's probably other titles as well and other BBC brands.
Yeah, look, whether or not you like it or not, Doctor Who is a niche product. Eventually, they did start selling it down here with JB Hi-Fi, but it's just. And to be honest, I was always the DVDs were always expensive. They were extremely expensive here anyway. So I was always
that.
I always wanted to. I always waited until there was a buy one, get one free, that sort of thing. So, that's when I got all my collection of DVD from Doctor Who. So
I always feel for fans, particularly of the classic series, when I hear that they're experiencing any real barriers to them enjoying those episodes, either for the first time or again, and keeping up with how times may change and how releases may evolve and the brand innovates. There's been so much innovation done with Doctor Who. So do you feel that Madman is a good fit for distributing this product, for aligning with Doctor Who, with classic Doctor Who as a brand, Matt?
I've had my run-ins with Madman. Sometimes they can just let things go. And they were doing the whole classic, like I said, classic range of Astro Boy and all that. And they started releasing, Bullwinkle and Rocky and all this sort of stuff, but they never ever completed them. You know what I mean?
Drive me mental.
Yeah. And so, there are box sets that I'm missing because I've bought them, and then it's like, I can't watch the rest of them.
Some clown decides there's 3 seasons, they've only released seasons 1 and 2, and you're left with your thumb in your ass. Yeah.
Well, it was the same with Samurai Jack. When the Samurai Jack started coming out, I'm like, you've released season 1. Where the hell are all the other seasons? And they said, oh, we're working on it. And it's like, that was 2 years ago. I don't want to really invest in something if I'm not going to be getting it,
So do you think it's a similar situation to Universal? It will very much depend, unit per unit, release after release. If one release does well, then you'll get the next one, rather than a long-term commitment that's completely open-ended with any guarantees.
Yeah, well, I mean, with Doctor Who, it's going to be something where, once they release it in the UK, they have to release it here at the same time, because there's only a week's difference between me buying it from the Amazon in UK for it to get here. So
just a week.
A week, yeah, just a little bit over a week.
Put it
and
like
it's
that.
like, as you know, I get a lot of Asian movies and that sort of thing as well. And so, that's where I'm getting all my 88 films and all that sort of stuff. So I'm getting them, and it's like, oh, I'd love to right, I'm getting it now. And then it'll be here.
Why should you wait? It's 2023. Why should you wait?
Well, this is it. But unfortunately, they still seem to think that because we're just an island, we're in the middle of the ocean.
We're an island too. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
We're the home of Doctor Who, so it's easier for us.
The weird thing is, your population is a lot bigger than ours. Even though we're a bigger place, your population is a lot bigger than ours, and so you get things right there and then. Whereas with us, we just have to wait. And so, but a lot of people can't wait anymore. And that was actually one of the reasons why they started showing Doctor Who at the same time. That it was literally like the next day after you guys got it. So, and that took a couple of years.
Yeah, it took a couple of years. It was a big celebration when it happened. And the idea that the brand could be going backwards, and that Australian people in New Zealand could struggle to get hold of this material again and watch it in step with the rest of the world. That's a little bit heartbreaking. And similarly, with the line of Blu-rays too, I like to believe that a long-term solution had been found. It sounds like that might not be the case. So I suppose it's down to the individual.
It's going to be a wait and see. I think that they've made a huge mistake by saying we're going to start with season 20, because season 20's been out and people have bought it
People
already
bought it already. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
want it. And, you know, we're not all Simon, where, you know, we can wait for the standard editions and all that sort of thing.
Simon
you
Horton
know,
is a very
some of us-
patient man. Yeah.
yeah, I love Simon.
He'll
but yeah,
wait it out. He'll wait it out. So, what do you think? Watching along out there, are you happy that Madmen have got this license to distribute Doctor Who in your part of the world, in the Southern Hemisphere? Do you think that this is a great fit for the brand? And are you committed to buying these releases, or do you fear that they're going to get tired of it pretty quickly too, and there'll be no long-term commitment? So, have you switched to importing the British releases maybe in exactly the same way that Matt's described? How about the ABC? Are you going to miss Doctor Who not being on the ABC? Never mind the flashy streaming platforms of Disney Plus and BritBox and all those things. You want it where it's always been, at a push of a button there on cuddly ABC. Let us know in the comment section. I don't think there are any wrong answers to this one, Matt. I just want fans to be happy and to get Doctor Who however they can get it. Feel free to vent your spleens there in the comments section. Australian fans and New Zealand fans, Tasmanian fans like Matt Pott here. Yeah, we'd love to know what you think of it all, about the fortunes or the failings of Doctor Who on physical media down under across the years on VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray. You know, I wish Madman all the best with this. I'm glad somebody stepped in, but it does sound like it's not out of the woods yet. Thanks for giving us the background on all of that, Matt, and we'll see you on the next one. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell to get the notifications about what's coming next and when it's coming as Type 40 continues our way through Whovember.